All right, everybody, how's it going? Meister here, and welcome back to the beautiful city of Oxbourg, where we are going to start to develop the very western tip of the island. Now, I know I said in the last episode that in this episode, we would be starting a brand new city over here by the beach on the eastern side of the island, but since then, I've changed my mind, and I would much rather completely finish the western part of the island because this build should be pretty straightforward, I'm hoping. Now, although this terrain is very jagged, very mountainous, we do still have some really flat valleys in between some of these mountains that are very suitable for building, and this region is ideal for some of the city's richest, most wealthy citizens. You know, we have some beautiful views overlooking the entire bay. We got all the ship traffic that comes through here. We have a beautiful view of downtown, as well as the airport for anybody who may be living kind of like on this side of all of these rolling hills. We can get nice views of aircraft coming in and leaving the airport. So we're going to be developing this area in today's episode. But for the areas that are not as developable, such as, you know, these big mountainous, rocky edges over here, we're going to be doing something cool. We're going to be building kind of like a national park within the city limits. So without further ado, let's jump right into it, guys. Let's begin zoning in some of these flat areas. Now, I'm going to start off over here, just by Sunnyside Street. We got quite a big flat area that we should be able to easily get going here. So first, I'm going to get started on our street layout. So within this valley, this will become kind of like the main road. What I think I'll do here is I'll just remove a couple of these crosswalks. Just, I don't know, I don't want like a ton of crosswalks all over the place for no reason. So we'll do this, beautiful. And then same thing over here. We don't necessarily need all of these traffic lights. These are just kind of here for nothing. Although I could probably do with one here because this is the main road. Anyway, I don't foresee there being very many bottlenecks in this neck of the woods. All right, and let's get to zoning. So what I'm thinking of doing in terms of style for this area, let's start off with commercial, and we're gonna do mostly Southern California, I think. You know, this is gonna have a much more, I don't know if tropical theme is the right word, but it's going to be more beachy, you know, kind of like your typical California vibe. Beautiful, guys, check this out. We got some wonderful new asset additions. Gonna mark some of these as historical, or not historical, but we're gonna lock the building level. I wish marking buildings as historical was a thing in this game, but unfortunately it is not at this very moment. Now, okay, yeah, here we're pretty much bunted up right against the mountain, but then over in this spot, maybe we can squeeze in a few medium density houses. Just a few, because I know these are going to spawn in as kind of like these Art Deco style buildings. So I'm going to squeeze in maybe a couple of 3 deep. And you know what? We have the room. Why not squeeze in just a few more medium density houses in here? There, we'll get a nice mixture of all different kinds of assets. It's gonna turn into a really sweet looking neighborhood. Now, as we wait for some of these buildings to zone in, let's see how far we can take this road. Because of course everything is gonna be within this valley. We don't really have much room in the back, so I think probably right about here actually is probably a good place to end it, with a cul-de-sac. I think that should work out quite nicely. And just like that, we'll zone in a whole bunch of residential. Perfect. All right, look at this. This is really cool. Yeah, we got some great commercial assets that have spawned in. They blend quite nicely with our mini industrial / office park. Apart from just a few detailing, I'd say this area is pretty much complete already. We'll try to use up every little bit of available land throughout this build. And why did we not use this big old chunk of commercial space? Let's make sure we do. There we go. Beautiful. So yeah, we got some nice strip malls. And what do we have here? We have a little bit of space. Maybe we can shove a little parkette in here, maybe a little playground, or even like just a little pocket square. If I enable anarchy, we can kind of squeeze it in place. Yeah, just like that. Awesome, guys. Wow, I'm actually really liking this. This is cool. So now we're gonna go on to the southernmost little valley, and we're gonna develop this one in quite a similar fashion, except this one has its own little private beach. So what we're gonna do over here is we're gonna do a bit of terraforming first of all, because we have kind of like this cliff here. I'd rather have the beach be at the same level as our terrain. So with just a little bit of terraforming, we can get exactly this. There, just to kind of smooth it all out. And then what my plan is for this spot, I'm gonna have a road. Oh, actually, you know what'd be cool? It'd be cool if this would be like a one-way, and if we had parking directly on the beach. Oh yeah, that would be super cool. Let's do that. I forgot what sand I have, but I think, yeah, okay, that works. Perfect, yeah. And then what I'll do is I'm gonna connect both ends of this parking lot, and this is a one-way, so we'll do a one-way alley. We'll have it dart out of the side of this roundabout, and then connect like this. Then we'll have this one going in this direction, just like this. How's that? And I'm just curious at this point, would this work? What if I do like a pedestrian path? Can I hook this up to the roundabout? Is that gonna ruin anything? Oh no, that's nice. Beautiful. So now this creates kind of like a little drop-off zone that leads off to the beach. And that means what I can do now is I'm gonna go back into my one-way, and what if I convert this into a one-way? How much of a mess is this gonna make? how well is this going to turn out? There. And now what's going to happen here is we're going to have a bunch of little shops lining the beach here. So we're going to do southwestern style. Once again, we'll do mixed housing. And I guess one singular row house. Sure, why not? And let's see what this gives. Well, I would really like to get a bit bigger building here. But apparently that's not really going to work out. What else can we build? Perhaps we can just do straight up. Oh no, not high density. We don't want that. We'll do medium density. Or mixed. Can we do mixed zonage? Is that going to give us the same thing? Oh my god. Okay. Urban promenades. There, beautiful. We'll mix in a little bit of modernism in here. All right, so let's keep it going. Some Southern California style. All right, and there we go. After just a few minutes, everything is zoned in. And with a little bit of detailing work and a little bit of tweaking, I think we really have a nice thing going on here. Now, we do have a bit of repetition. However, it just struck me that we should probably provide some essential services to this area. So healthcare, for one. You know, the hospitals in the main city are relatively close, but I still think we should probably at least have a small medical clinic. So I'm going to go ahead and plop exactly this just on the other side of this street. So at least we're covered for that. And then as far as education, you know, maybe I can do a small elementary school. I'll go ahead and plop this along the main road as well. I guess, yeah, this asset fits perfectly right here. And then this is just going to give us a capacity of 400, which may or may not be enough. But actually, what I should be doing is limiting access to this elementary school to just this area. So why don't we go ahead and let's do like from here. This will pretty much encompass this entire zone right up to the airport. So like right here, and then do I include this area or do I not? I guess I could do something like this. Let's see what kind of name we're gonna get. Ivy Corner. Well, we're gonna definitely change that name. Let's do, you know, I'm just gonna do the Western Peninsula for now, and I want you guys to come up with a name for this entire, you know, kind of beachy, mountainous area. Think of like Southern California. What would you name this place? Actually, no, not Southern California, because Oxbourg, or at least the downtown core, is a French-inspired city. So maybe like the south of France. Maybe come up with a Southern France fitting name for this place, and I think we should be good with that. So, okay, there we go. So we have elementary school covered. What about high school? You know, high schools are considerably larger. Even like the smallest high school is fairly large. I really don't know where we're going to be able to fit this unless we like plop it on top of a mountain or something. Maybe we can figure that out in just a moment. But let's skip over that just for now. Fire services. Let's do a southwestern fire hall, which I think is probably one of the smallest assets. Oh no, the regular firehouse is actually a little bit smaller. So yeah, let's do this. Firehouse. You know, I guess we'll plop it right here. I'm gonna do the southwestern one, and I'll plop it right here along our main road. And by the way, there's gonna be a ton of interesting things going on. This is gonna be a little marina or something. So I'm just waiting to develop here for now. So there we go. We have medical, we have fire, we have elementary. What about a police station? Do we really need a police station here? Probably not. I mean, we're so close to downtown. We already have police cars patrolling this area already. And I really don't have that much room to spare. That's the problem. So we're just gonna never mind about a police station for now. There, so we got these two valleys filled in. Now, a lot of these mountains are very jagged. However, if we go on here to kind of the northern side of the peninsula, you can see that we have a nice gradual slope up this mountain. So with that being said, what I want to do here is we're actually going to build things on the top of these hills, right? So again, think of the Hollywood Hills, that kind of thing. This is what's going to be going on in this part of town. So we're going to have one main road kind of zigzagging up this hill. Actually, I'm going to leave just enough room for our high school that's potentially going to go here. Oh, beautiful. Yeah, I have a nice flat plateau up here. And let's cap this off with a nice roundabout so we can have like a nice look off or something up here. And I think that's good enough to get us started. So now the rest of this whole area will be small, tiny little roads zigzagging through these hills. So we're going to respect the topography here. We're just going to follow the contour lines. As much as humanly possible. And then, yeah, it's getting pretty steep here. So in this case, what we may want to do is build some switchbacks. Just like this. And then, yeah, switchbacks are pretty much just supposed to go up. So if we do this and have like a nice, smooth, realistic slope going up this hill, beautiful. I think that should work quite nicely. We got plenty of room for housing up here. Awesome. And then from here, we're going to keep going up the mountain, because I do want there to be residences like on the very top of these hills. You know, some of the richest citizens in the entire city are gonna live up top of these mountains. There. All right, how's that, guys? I think that should work out pretty good. And now we're just going to slowly and carefully zone out this area. And I'm actually going to start off with some European-style waterfront housing just because of the very Mediterranean look of a lot of these assets. Yeah, let's get some big behemoth mansions up here. There we go. Oh yeah, this is gonna be cool. Actually, just to create a bit of variance, let's have some different size lots up here. Now, I'm still gonna be mindful of the topography a little bit. So I think this is maybe a little too aggressive. So let's have a smaller property alongside. Yeah, and then we can terraform this a little bit later. But luckily we have lots and lots of residential demand. So all of these properties should get filled in very quickly. And let's switch this up here. Let's do... Actually, you know what? I don't think there's really an appropriate spot for southwestern low density because it looks too suburban. We really need these assets to look like super rich and high class. And with that being said, there's nothing that should stop us from taking a peek here in our beautiful menus. Yeah, potentially there's some nice assets that we can plop up here in these mountains, such as so we got the theater actor mansion. Perfect, that fits nicely here. Then we have a sculptor's mansion, which could probably fit. Yeah, why not? Right here. Maybe not. I don't really like this big blob of pavement. But actually, if I just move it a little farther down the street, there we go. That actually looks quite nice. And then, without going too crazy here, I mean, some of these mansions are just massive, so we're not going to be able to plop all of them. But, like this one, for example, barely distorts the terrain, fits beautifully. Oh, what about this one? Real estate agent's mansion, architect's mansion. I'm thinking about it. Honestly, right here would probably be pretty good. Look at that. Doesn't even touch the terrain at all. And it doesn't get much more California than this. Look at this beautiful Art Deco house. Looking over the bay. Going through yet again another death wave. I recently learned that I'm not the only one going through this. It's just part of the game mechanics. So we're probably going to deal with that eventually. But ignore it for this episode. But let's keep on going here, guys. Let's get some more ultra rich mansions zoned in. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do a little bit of terraforming in some of these spots for sure. There we go. All right, and I guess we could get some smaller properties in here. Ooh, yeah, that's a little too much here. I'm gonna get rid of this one. I don't think there's much that we're gonna be able to do. Maybe here. Yeah, that's doable. And then maybe some smaller properties up here. We can terraform in place somehow. we're gonna have to make this work. We're just destroying this mountain, guys. This is like a recipe for an avalanche is what we're doing. But if it looks cool, that's what we're going for. I'm actually surprised to see that everything is just zoning in place. I'm not having any trouble at all. Demand seems to be constant. Oh man, this is so cool. All right, well, let's accelerate the simulation as we build here. And as all of these assets are being zoned in, let's go ahead and plop that high school we were talking about. Let's see if we can't just squeeze it in here. And it looks like we can. Quite comfortably, actually. So, you know, this is probably your typical Hollywood, very wealthy kind of high school. And we have enough room to actually build some expansions as well. So let's do this, and then what I'll do in front of the school, let's build let's have a parking lot. We'll scooch this over. Awesome. That looks great. And now if there's any way that we could fit this asset somewhere like this, that would be so cool. Let's do it. I think it can be done. I just have to flatten out a big blob of land. But I think this could work out. So for now, let's do this. Let's give ourselves more than enough room. And then we can terraform around the modification that we're about to do. So if I move this over just like this. Oh, yeah, I should put this the other way. Boop. There, and then now, if we move on to this particular area, I think we have just enough room to squeeze in another few luxurious homes. So we're gonna cap off both of these streets with some nice cul-de-sacs just like this, and then again with the low density waterfront housing, we're gonna plop a couple of beautiful properties right on the coast. Just like so. And just like this. And I think that should do it. And then I have a little bit of space to play with in behind here. Is there potentially anything that we could fit into our luxurious high school? Such as maybe like a sports pavilion? Well, I don't think so. But actually, you know what? Rather than a bunch of luxurious properties, why don't we actually plop a sports complex or something in this area? And actually, I think this is going to fit beautifully if we just extend. Actually, you know what? Anarchy is going to do the work for us. So back into our parks menu. Let's see how well this building fits. And wow, look at this. This is perfect. And all I have to do is just a little tiny bit of terraforming just to make this look a bit more natural. And there we have it. Beautiful. Now, we could say that the inspiration for this particular area would be something like the Cabrillo Peninsula in San Diego. I mean, instead of a big old cemetery, you know, we have a sports complex and, you know, an educational facility. But, I mean, just, you know, if you look at both of these simultaneously, you kind of get the resemblance. Now we're going to move on here. We're going to go down the mountain to this particular area. And the inspiration for this area comes from Sunset Cliffs in San Diego. So, I don't know, it's just kind of like the road layout, I think. I just like the look of it. And for this particular area, we're just going to do a whole bunch of mixed zonage. And you know what? May as well have one or two tall skyscrapers. Well, not really skyscrapers, but taller buildings. Just like this. We'll have one here, and then maybe another one. Maybe around here. I think that should look pretty good. And as far as high density, that's going to be it. And the rest, let's do medium density. So we'll do a couple of apartment buildings. And then I left myself just enough room to have some 3x3s. Or I guess some 3 deep buildings. So what we'll do in this case is we'll do some row houses. Let's just do row houses all throughout here. I think that should look pretty good. Beautiful. Over here as well. And I guess for this property, we'll just draw a road out back. Oh, beautiful. Perfect. Just like that. And then we'll squeeze in some more regular residential. And then finally, let's put in some commercial zones as well. Let's have some nice shops in here. Perfect. And you know what? This is a good opportunity for maybe one more large asset. And then we'll do just a couple of row houses. There we are. And for the very first time, I'm gonna make use of, hang on, where is it? Yes, our piers. So let's have a wooden leisure pier that's going to jet out from here, and then we're just gonna straight shot this into the water, just like so. And there we are. We have a nice pier. And then I think if I do something like this, if I kind of tee this off, yeah, there. Wonderful. Okay, yeah, let's do that. And then we can do some more mixed use. Or actually, let's have some modern looking buildings in here. Let's do this. And then we'll do some more row houses as well as medium density residential. And then I think we have a proper setup. Maybe we'll have a parking lot. Let's add a big old parking lot right here. I mean, this is a North American city after all. We need plenty of parking in all of our touristy spots. Absolutely wonderful. I'm actually really, really liking this little neighborhood here. This is very, very San Diego. Looks wonderful. I'm not sure I'm feeling this shop. And in fact, I'm not really feeling there being any stores along this road. So I'm just going to demolish this store. May as well keep this path here. I'll just kind of run it diagonally throughout the back here. And that'll give us just enough room to build some more row houses there. So if we could just squeeze a couple more in here, I think that would look wonderful. And then again, let's have some zone trickery going on. So we can yet again get some more Southern California style row houses in here. Oh yeah, that is really, really awesome. And I think I'm just gonna I'm gonna replace these buildings and these ones. And we'll just have some more row houses. And might as well do here as well. And for this next part, I'm just going to work on a little bit of managerial stuff for a moment. Starting with this water tower. This was a temporary water tower that I plopped just to get this place going. But this is going to go away. And in its place, we're going to kind of kill two birds with one stone. I really like this French water tower. It's really good. It provides a crap ton of water, way more than what we need, because we need water right now. Both water availability and sewage treatment are kind of teetering on the edge here. So we're going to go ahead and plop a French water tower, but I'm not just going to place it anywhere near this development. This water tower is actually going to act as kind of a makeshift lighthouse. All right, so, you know, I mean, the shape has the general shape of a lighthouse, and unfortunately there is no lighthouse assets in the game. So you kind of have to make do with what you got. And I put out a poll to my members, my channel members, and the results were kind of all over the place. But from what has been chosen, we're going to plop two lighthouses on the very western tip of this land. So the first one is going to go right here, pretty much just as close as I can get it to the edge of this land here. And the second one will go right over here. Actually, let me turn on my contour lines. This will help me out a little bit. Actually, I think this would make the most sense if I just plopped it right on top of this hill. That'll make it easier. And just like that, beautiful. We got two brand new water towers. This is gonna tip us like way over the edge. Okay, now we gotta hook up this lighthouse. Now this is not going to be an easy task because of the very rugged terrain we got going on here. And then we have this big old mountain in the way. So we're gonna have to get creative to see how we're going to hook this up. So we're gonna start over here, and I guess this side of the mountain looks to be slightly less jagged. So I'm just gonna follow the contour lines all the way back to the shore. There. All right, now let's quickly check if this is realistic. It's still a very, very slopey kind of road, but I think it's fine. You know, you just have to make your way out here like on an ATV or something. But there we go. We're all hooked up. And is this gonna... Okay, so I guess actually hooking up these water towers to erode doesn't actually do anything. And I suppose I don't need this water pipe anymore because I didn't realize there was actually water pipes under this dirt road. So this makes things so much simpler. And there we go. That should do it. Beautiful. Everything's connected up. Now, unfortunately, this is really a shame, but recolor has no effect on this building, which is really a shame because it would be cool to have like maybe a red and white striped pattern. And maybe we could have like 2 different lighthouse patterns. That'd be pretty cool, but from afar, I mean, it's pretty obvious that this represents a lighthouse, and perhaps in the future, if we do get a lighthouse asset, we can then go and replace both of these buildings. And I will just have to make sure that we provide water elsewhere. So now I'm gonna get rid of this big old monstrosity, and that is going to free up this entire block for some more development. So we're just gonna kind of follow the same theme as the rest of the neighborhood. We're just gonna have some squiggly streets all over, and then we're gonna populate them with some good old Southern California style residential homes. So yeah, that pretty much completes this whole area, apart from all the detailing work that we're gonna have to do in a minute. The last thing I really have to work on is this little spot here. Now, I was planning to make a marina, and I am still going to do so. It's just gonna be a little less detailed than what I would have had if we had the Bridges and Ports DLC. But that's fine, we're just gonna have to wait a little bit longer on that particular DLC. And that just means we'll have to revisit this area at some point. Alright, so now we're gonna jump into time-lapse mode where I'm gonna begin detailing everything that we've done today, starting with this little marina. Now, I'm not really gonna go into crazy detail, there's not gonna be much to this because I don't really wanna invest a ton of time when we don't even have boats, right? So I'm just gonna create kind of like a makeshift marina. We're gonna detail the surrounding areas, and then we're gonna jump into some other areas in just a moment. And just across from the marina, I had this big empty space here, didn't really know what to do here. So I'm just going to pave over the entire thing. We're gonna pave over Paradise, and we're gonna add a couple of industrial buildings and just some general filler. And moving on, now we're going to start to detail the natural part of this entire build. So in these mountains and in these hills, I want to have some trails going all over the place. Kind of like what you would find kind of like in LA in the mountains, or maybe even near San Diego, which most of this build is based upon. But yeah, I mean, there's tons of hiking trails all around these mountains, offering beautiful views of the bay and of the city. So if you're kind of like an outdoorsy person, this will be a great way to spend an afternoon here in Oxbourg. And what I'm using for these paths are little dirt paths, which I honestly can't figure out where these are from. I have no idea in what kind of mod pack or asset pack or whatever these little trails are from. I'm not even sure if they're really functional. I've never actually seen anybody using these trails, but they look cool. And especially zooming out when like this entire area is in your field of view, just having these trails dotted all around the map give this this whole area a pretty cool look. And here we go, guys. This is the almost final product of our project here today. And already this has turned into way more than what I initially had planned. I'm just loving the way this area developed. I'm loving the little trails and stuff that are kind of zipping through these hills. Everything turned out really, really great in my opinion. Now there's only a few little touch-ups that we have to do before ending this episode, a little bit of house cleaning. And the first thing that I want to outline is our elementary school is already maxed out, which, you know, was kind of expected. And this is going to be a little bit of a challenge because the extension wing upgrade is rather large. And if I turn off Anarchy here, we can see that there's not very many spots that we're going to be able to plop this, especially with the harsh terrain that is in this region. But if I can maybe manage to squeeze it in like right here, actually might be a good spot with minimal disruption to the surrounding area. Perhaps I can plop it here. Now, of course, this is maybe not the most realistic option because you wouldn't necessarily have an extension wing to an elementary school on the other side of a road. That is a little dangerous. Oh no, can I not move this? Interesting. Okay, well, we're just going to turn snapping off, and I'm just going to plop this right beside our little grocery store looking building here. And then, I don't know, we can say that this is maybe some other building that has no relation whatsoever to our elementary school. And then just to hide some of the blemishes in back here, I'm just gonna plop a bunch of trees. There we go, beautiful. So now that should help out. Oh my God. Oh, actually, select operating district. We're gonna make sure that we're operating within the Western Peninsula only, and this is going to apply to our hospital as well, if I can find it. I totally forgot where I plopped it. Oh yeah, right over here. And we're going to make it operate within this district only. Same thing with the high school, which is getting pretty full. And there we go. So I think that oh crap, it looks like the hospital didn't work. Let's try that again. Operating district. Beautiful. There we go. So perhaps this is going to help out. You know, maybe there were some students coming from elsewhere that were enrolling in this school. But, you know, at least now with this restriction, only residents of the Western Peninsula can go here. So maybe this will fix the student capacity issue. And that's pretty much it. That's the only thing I really wanted to clear up before the end of this episode. We have this road going out in this direction, which I don't really know what I'm going to do here. So in the meantime, I suppose let's go ahead and build some European themed low density housing. Let's get some big lots in here. You know, some more rich citizens that have established themselves in the mountains. Let's add a couple more, just like so. Perfect. So we'll wait for these to get built up, and that'll pretty much do it for this episode, guys. So make sure you stay tuned to the very end, as there's going to be some epic cinematics. But with that being said, I really hope you appreciate this episode. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I had a ton of fun with this one. So guys, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Make sure you drop a like, drop a comment. Let me know what you think of this episode. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you enjoy my content in general. And consider becoming a patron or a YouTube member to get early access to all my videos. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. You have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you in the next one.